Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at a pretty fascinating situation here. An upcoming national election, and, maybe surprisingly, the outcome looks like a win for one major industry.
That's right, cryptocurrency. In South Korea, specifically.
And what's really striking, looking at the sources you shared, is, well, it's not your usual political fight, you know?
Exactly. Not the typical pro versus anti-industry battle we often see.
No. Instead, the picture we're getting is one where the main political figures seem largely, well, unified in supporting the crypto sector's growth.
Which is quite unusual.
Definitely. So our goal in this deep dive is to really get into the specifics for the material provided. We want to explore the political background, look at who the key players, the candidates are.
And understand why they seem to share this stance on crypto, why it points to such a positive outlook for the industry there.
Precisely. And we're basing all of this directly on the source material you've brought together for us.
And the core takeaway from those sources, it seems to be that South Korea's crypto industry looks set for success, almost regardless of how this snap election turns out.
No matter the snap election outcome.
That's good.
Quite a statement.
It is.
So why should you, listening, care about this?
Well, understanding how politics and this really fast-moving tech, like digital assets, intersect.
Yeah, how they connect.
Yeah.
Especially in a major global market like South Korea. It offers some, crucial context, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's kind of a window into how governments are dealing with crypto, what the future might look like for regulation for investment.
And that could have ripples way beyond South Korea itself.
For sure. So maybe let's start with the political backdrop.
Good idea. What do the sources tell us?
Okay, so South Koreans are going to the polls very soon, June 3rd. It's a snap election.
Right, not a scheduled one. Why now?
It was triggered to replace Yoon Suk-yeol. He was removed from office back in December, impeached.
Impeached over attempting to declare martial law, is that right?
That's what the sources indicate, yes. Attempted martial law, a very serious situation leading to his removal.
Wow. Okay, so definitely a dynamic political climate. And who are the main contenders stepping into this?
The material identifies two main figures. First, Lee Jae-myung. He's from the center-left Democratic Party.
Okay.
And one poll you included, a Gallup Korea poll from May 28th, had him polling ahead with about 49% favorability.
Almost half. And who's he up against?
He's facing Kim Moon-soo. He's the nominee from the People Power Party, described as a staunch conservative.
And his numbers in that poll?
Around 36% support in the same poll.
Okay, so Lee Jae-myung leading, Kim Moon-soo challenging. Different political backgrounds.
Very different. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, this is the core theme. Despite those ideological differences, the sources really emphasize that both Lee and Kim have campaigned on platforms that are, well, pretty supportive of crypto.
Both of them. Pledging to ease regulations.
Yeah.
Expand access.
Yes, that's the key takeaway, this bipartisan support.
That is interesting. Can we get more specific? What kinds of policies are we talking about?
Well, for example, Lee Jae-myung. The sources say he specifically proposed legalizing spot crypto exchange-traded funds, ETFs.
Okay, that's a big one. Spot crypto ETFs. Anything else?
Yeah, he's apparently even looking at allowing South Korea's huge national pension fund. It's worth something like $884 billion to potentially invest in crypto assets.
The National Pension Fund. Wow. Okay. That would be significant.
Hugely significant. And he's also been quite vocal, it seems, about pushing for wider use of a stablecoin backed by the South Korean won.
A one-backed stablecoin. Why? What's the thinking there, according to the sources?
It's framed as not just being about financial innovation. It's also seen as a way to modernize the financial system and, maybe critically, to stop capital flight, to keep money within Korea.
Right, preventing wealth leakage. I think I saw that phrase.
Exactly. There's actually a direct quote from Lee in the material. He says, we need to establish a one-backed stablecoin market to prevent national wealth from leaking overseas. And he goes on. I will create a safe investment environment so that young people can build assets and plan for the future.
That really connects the policy to, tangible outcomes, keeping wealth in, helping young people invest safely. Makes sense.
And the material also mentions he wants to ease some strict banking rules, the ones that force crypto exchanges to partner with licensed banks to handle one deposits and withdrawals.
Right, making it easier for exchanges to operate. Okay, so that's Lee Jae-myung. What about the other candidate, Kim Moon-soo? the conservative.
Well, this is what really highlights the convergence. The sources state that Kim Moon-soo also supports legalizing spot crypto ETFs.
He supports Lee's proposal, too.
Seems so. He backed it. It's not like one side is pushing this and the other is resisting.
So it's not a point of contention between them.
Apparently not on this specific issue. The material suggests Kim has also pledged, more generally, to ease regulations and promote crypto adoption.
So we've got both major political players essentially backing key pro-crypto policies.
That's the picture the sources paint.
So what does the industry itself think about this unusual alignment?
Well, you included a quote that speaks directly to that. It's from Simon Seo-joon Kim. He's the CEO of Hashed Ventures,
A venture capital firm based in Seoul.
That's right. And he told Bloomberg something quite direct. Because all the major candidates seem to hold these pro-crypto views.
Yeah.
He says the country's crypto investors face a clear win regardless of the election outcome.
A clear win regardless. That's pretty confident.
It certainly suggests the industry sees this political alignment as very positive.
Which brings up a question, I think. Why? Why this intense focus on crypto regulations and policy in South Korea right now? What's driving this urgency?
The material points very clearly to one main driver. South Korea has an incredibly high level of retail participation in crypto.
Retail meaning like everyday people trading.
Exactly. Ordinary citizens. And it's not just active, it's apparently one of the most active markets in the world.
How active are we talking?
The sources mention daily trading volumes on South Korean crypto exchanges can sometimes actually be higher than the country's main stock indexes.
Higher than the KOSPI.
Wow. Yeah, that level of activity. And the sheer number of users involved. The sources say it recently went over 16 million people.
16 million.
16 million users.
In a country of about 52 million people, that's huge.
It's massive participation. And, you know, when you have that many citizens involved in something,
It creates political pressure.
absolutely. It creates undeniable pressure for politicians to create a clear and maybe a more favorable regulatory environment.
So it's not just industry lobbying, it's driven by huge public engagement.
That seems to be a major factor, yes.
Now, this isn't happening in, like, a Wild West situation, is it? Are there regulations already?
Oh, yes. The sources mention regulatory efforts are definitely underway. There were stricter rules brought in back in July 2024.
Okay, what did they involve?
Tough requirements for exchanges, apparently, including pretty serious penalties if they don't comply.
So tightening things up.
Yes, but also providing structure. And just very recently, May 20th, the country's Financial Services Commission finalized some sweeping new measures.
New measures, like what?
Guidelines for things like nonprofit crypto sales, and also tightening the standards for which tokens can be listed on exchanges.
So regulation is actively evolving. It's not static.
Definitely not. And the political side seems to be getting more structured, too. The Democratic Party, Lee Jae-myung's party, they launched a dedicated digital asset committee back in May. Its job is specifically to develop crypto policies and help the industry grow.
A whole committee just for digital assets. Okay.
So when you put all these pieces together, the political will from both sides, these ongoing regulatory developments, and just the sheer scale of retail adoption.
That massive user base.
Right. It really paints a picture of a pretty unique environment being created for crypto in South Korea. It's not just abstract policy talk. It feels like it's being shaped by real widespread public activity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's recap what we've unpacked here from the sources.
Sounds good.
We started with the context. This snap election happening June 3rd triggered because the previous president, Yoon Suk-yeol, was impeached over that attempt to declare martial law.
Right, a dramatic political backdrop.
Then we identified the main candidates. Lee Jae-myung of the Democratic Party, who is leading in a recent poll, and Kim Moon-soo of the Conservative People Power Party.
And the crucial point, there's surprising bipartisan support for key crypto policies, despite coming from different political camps.
Exactly. We talked about specifics mentioned in the material, like both supporting the legalization of spot crypto ETFs.
And Lee's push for a one-backed stablecoin with those stated goals of, stopping wealth leakage and creating safer investment paths for young people, like in that quote.
Mm-hmm. And we heard from the industry side, like the Hashed Ventures CEO basically calling it a clear win for investors no matter who gets elected.
Yeah, reflecting that political consensus.
And critically, we identified the likely driver behind all this political and regulatory focus: South Korea's massive retail crypto scene.
Those 16 million users, trading volumes, sometimes beating the stock market. That level of public involvement.
Right. And we also touched on the fact that regulation is happening and evolving, with rules from last year and new measures finalized just recently, plus formal political structures like that Digital Asset Committee.
So yeah, connecting those threads, the politics, the regulation, the huge user base, it really does suggest, based on the source material, a potentially very favorable environment taking shape for crypto there.
Absolutely. It's quite a unique convergence. So here's a final thought, something for you to chew on after listening to this deep dive.
Okay.
Given everything we've explored, this strong political push from both sides, combined with that enormous existing retail adoption in South Korea, what might the policy choices they make there, things like legalizing ETFs or really backing stablecoins, what might that mean for the global conversation?
Yeah, the global picture around crypto regulation and adoption in the next few years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could South Korea, with this particular set of circumstances, end up being some kind of model or maybe a key case study that other countries watch closely or even try to follow? What do you think?